You have the ability to do absolutely nothing for extremely long period of time. What is a way you can make money out of it? Live stream myself sleeping and try to get the viewers to wake me up through donation videos. Be an art class model. Super easy to do, very realistic, unlike some other answers here, and honestly really underrated. Edit. Everybody's saying that it's not easy to do, and I get that. I meant with this particular superpower it would be super easy to do. Do they need unattractive people? I mean, there's a lot of detail to be had on this body. Short answer is yes. It's less about looking good and more about being able to stand still for extended periods while naked. It's better for artists to have different body types for practice and development of skills. Could I bring a book and read? Or is occasional page turning a problem? How long would it last? Realistically, I could handle a 4-hour session once a week, or maybe 2 to 3 sessions if they are 2 hours or less. Your job is to stand in a variety of poses for a few different set lengths of time. Total session can be up to 4 hours, but more like 2.5. Individual pose sessions begin short, 2 to 10 minutes, and increase to 15 to 30-minute poses and then usually 1 full hour pose. You choose the poses, but you won't be able to read because in addition to changing position fairly often at first, surprise, your job is to concentrate on holding that pose, and the students will get pissed off if you aren't taking it seriously and falling out of pose the whole session. You can talk but students will be focusing and not talkative until the end, and yes, it is cold. That sounds like more work than doing absolutely nothing. It is, and I've done it. Well, I modeled for professional artists and it was intense. Same pose for 4 hours in 15-minute intervals. If one chooses a beautiful pose outlining the human form, muscle cramps and fatigue. And hot lights, silence and judgy looks from some artists. How is the pay for that kind of work? Mildly interested in it as a side gig. $20 hour plus tips. They tip if they want to take a picture of your likeness or pose during the session. I know how this will sound, it was not good paying for how serious it was. I did it because 2 of the artists are world renowned and it was a great opportunity. Other studios these days pay more for sure. Win money in one of these AskReddit threads that appear once a week where you get paid $4 million for staying a month in a room with no human contact and no entertainment. I could actually do this if there was $4 million involved. I don't know if you could. That's like a month in severe solitary confinement where you can't even hear the guard's footsteps as they pass you food. That shit is serious. I don't know the specifics, but humans are surprisingly fragile when it comes to stuff like this. We can't live purely in the dark, we can't live purely in the light, and we can't live alone. Even if you don't suffer a massive breakdown, just understand that your main threat isn't boredom, it's severe mental anguish. You are definitely going to be hallucinating in a few weeks. There's a poker player who took a $100,000 prop bet to stay in the bathroom of a hotel room for 30 days straight, but the bathroom was also to be soundproofed and completely dark for the entire duration. The other dude offered him $50,000 to bail out after 2 weeks to let him leave the room after 2 weeks if he paid out $50,000, which he denied. They eventually negotiated and he was instead paid $62,400 to come out after 20 days. TheGuardian.com edit correction. That sounds even more awful since there's really nowhere to get a nice decent sleep in a tub, even with pillows and whatnot. Sleep studies. Wah! I did a sleep study and I had to pay for it. I got scammed. I mean, I assumed they gave you the results and analysis from it. I did one and all they did was take the data and pay me. Write a book called How to Do Nothing and get paid for it just like every other do-nothing schemer out there and charge $59.93 for it. They don't want you to know this one simple fact about the new economy, but it'll tell you for only 3 easy payments of $19.99. Try my system today. Wouldn't it be $59.97? Or they get a 4-cent discount for paying up front. Yes, because studies have shown that people round down mentally at 7. At least that's what they explained in my 3-day Marketing Guru Bootcamp. Marketing Guru Bootcamp. Anyway, an ex-GF would subconsciously round down on .99, otherwise fairly intelligent person who would still fall for the oldest trick in the book. Not that intelligent if she dated you. I'm so sorry, it was just there, I had to take it. Sick burn, I respect it. Compound interest. I too enjoy accumulating more debt. Legit lol, thanks. It open a business for birds that need someone else to sit on their eggs. Easy money. You better know a lot about bird law. Don't want to end up responsible if the parents don't return. Yeah, you don't want to end up being a jail bird. Edit, when I wrote this, I thought I might get downvoted for dad humor. Nice to see that dad humor still has its place in our world. Changed my last name to Kardashian. Edit, thanks for the love all, and for my first award. I don't get my kicks by putting others down, so please take this as it was intended, a light-hearted joke. Alright, that's enough, pack it up, wah, we're done here. Living statue. I mean, I see living statues all the time, so it means it must be a good way to make lots of money, right? Yeah, and even if it's doing nothing, I bet it's tiresome. Standing still in one position for a long period of time is tougher than it seems, getting ridiculed by shitty people, etc. I once held a phone up for 5 minutes trying to hold it perfectly still. My arms were dead by the end. I can imagine they get some serious muscle fatigue trying to hold some of those positions. Maybe in that kind of thing, you have to practice more casual poses like the thinker and work your way up to standing holding things. Or like, practice at home like a workout so you get good at it. Or put out an actual statue with a hat full of money in front of it. Wax statue spray painted silver so it looks like a real person dressed like a statue. I act as the temporary support for super heavy stuff. If it's absolutely nothing, then that includes doing something like being crushed to death. I just turn it off when they don't need me to hold the heavy thing anymore. Or maybe I act as an emergency roadblock. I jump out of a vehicle in front of whoever I'm supposed to stop, and I activate my ability, and I do absolutely nothing, including being thrown 100 feet by the speeding vehicle about to hit me. And if I don't move at all, well, who are you? Who are so wise in the ways of science? I'm nobody, just a dude who has too much alone time to ponder about hypotheticals. Also, happy cake day. You guys are getting paid? Astronaut study of staying in a room for 30, 60, 90 days. How can I apply? Be a guard. I never understood how a single guy spending every night sitting in the only lit room of an empty building is a reasonable measure to protect that building. Sure, the casual intruder might be scared off and look for an easier job, but the really dedicated burglar who has his reasons to break into this particular building will figure out a way to trick the guard or even knock him out. Thus the guard can only be a first responder to an alarm from an intrusion detection system. But that job probably doesn't pay well enough to actually bother confronting burglars who may or may not be armed. Sure, the casual intruder might be scared off and look for an easier job, that's literally it. That's honestly all they're there for. 9 times out of 10 most thefts and break-ins are casual in the sense they were crimes of opportunity. If you don't give a burglar opportunity to break into your building, they'll go to another one to try their luck. It's all just a deterrence. Yeah, it's like that joke about only having to be faster than your friend when running from a predator. You don't need to have that good security, just better than the buildings nearby, to make them a more attractive target. Why break into the guarded building, when there's an unguarded building nearby? Accept all those Reddit challenges. Would you take $X for staying in a room with only a bed for 1 month? Sounds a lot like quarantine. With no phone. Medical trials. I highly recommend nobody doing this. I know people who are disabled for their whole life because of alpha medication. Very interesting. I've always heard it was extremely rare to get injured in medical trials, but that never made any sense to me because after all, how can they know how harmless, or harmful, a new RX is if it's never been tested in a human before? Do you have time to supply a few more details about your friend's injuries? Thanks in advance. Edit, autocorrect weirdness. Not up. I teach at a university, and one of our students in my small department did this. Poor guy went from top of his class, bright, attentive, articulate, and self-motivated to having to deal with a constant sense of brain fog, not being able to think clearly, always being tired. He barely passed the semester, and he's never been the same since. The money isn't worth the risk. Edit, I don't know what was tested on him.